So now we will go to text number 15. Rupam sajagrahe matsyam chakshu shodhadi samplave navaropya mahimayam apadvaivasvatam manum.
When there was a complete inundation after the period of Chakshu Manu and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivashyata Manu, keeping him up on a boat.
So this we will find about Vaivashyata Manu and Matsya Avatar. This is a fish incarnation. We will discuss this in great detail in the 24th chapter of the 8th canto. So these are all coming up very soon, and we are going to read this in great detail. So text number 16 we can go to. So please repeat. Sura Suranam Udadhim Matnata Mandarachalam Dadre Kamatha Rupena Prishta Ekadashe Vibhu.
The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachal hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theist and the atheist of the universe.
So in the 8th canto, we are going to find a very interesting discussion on Samudramanthan Pastime. How the Devtas and the demons came together to churn a mountain, and after that, they wanted the nectar. So this is a great pastime which will teach us. This is a great pastime that will teach us how cooperation happens and how there is conflict of interest and how we have to cooperate and sometimes tolerate the opposing view because we have the same goal. And it's very, very interesting pastime. So Sutta Goswami has mentioned that this is going to be there. And in the same pastime, there are two other incarnations, which is mentioned in 17th verse, which we'll also chant now. 17th verse. Dhanvantaram dvadashamam. Oh, it's not on the screen, okay. Trayodashamam evacha. Apayat suran anyan. Mohinya mohayan striya.
In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Dhanvantari, and in the 13th, he allured the atheist by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink.
This is a very, very interesting section. This is also Samudramanthan Pastime only, where Lord comes as Dhanvantari and also as Mohini Murti. Mohini Murti is one of the most attractive forms Lord Vishnu takes, and he bewilders everyone by his beauty. And the greatest of demigods, all demons, everybody gets attracted by the Lord in his female beautiful form. That is 17th verse. Now 18th verse reveals one of the most exciting incarnations of the Lord. Please repeat after me. Chaturdasham Narasimham. One second, yeah. Bibrad Daitendram Urjitam. Tadara Karajair Urav
Dadara Karjair Urav
Erakam Katakridyatam.
Erakam Katakridyata.
In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Narasimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu and his nails with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane.
So Narasimha Dev incarnation is a very exciting incarnation because here we see that the Lord appears and kills Hiranyakashipu, who had made a perfect plan not to die. So the modern scientific advancement is attuned. There's a lot of planning done how to prolong our lives. Hiranyakashipu had made a foolproof plan to live forever, but still his plan got baffled. How that happened, we will discuss when we come to the 7th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, where almost 10 chapters are dedicated to this pastime. So now we'll go to the 19th verse, which is another famous incarnation of the Lord. Panchadasham Vamanakam
Panchadasham Vamanakam
Kritvagad Advaram Bale
Ritvagad Advaram Bale
Padatrayam Yachamanaha
Pradatrayam Yachamanaha
Pratyaditsustripishthapam.
Pratyaditchustripishtapam.
In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of dwarf, Brahmana, Vamana, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaja Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land.
So this is the 8th canto where Vamana Dev pastime comes. Vamana Dev appears as a dwarf, a small boy, and what he does is spectacular. He just asks for 3 pieces of land and then takes the entire kingdom of Bali Maharaj. He becomes huge. This is the pastime which teaches us what happens when we become greedy. There's a lot of instructions given by Vaman Dev on greed, how we should be satisfied with whatever little we have. So this we will discuss when we come to the 8th canto. And now text number 20. Okay. Avatare Shodashame
Avatare Shodashame
Pashyan Brahma Druho Nripan
Pashyan Brahma Druho Nripan
Trisapta Kritvaha Kupito
Grihasapta Kritva Kupito
Nikshatram Akaron Mahim.
Nikshatram Akaron Mahim.
In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord, as Bhrugupati, annihilated the administrative class, Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class.
So this is Parashuram, the incarnation. In the 9th canto, he destroys the Kshatriya dynasties 21 times. So he is a Brahmana, but he's very powerful. Varnashram system is successful when the Brahmanas, they submit to the Lord's will, Krishna's will. And Kshatriyas submit to the Brahmanas' will, Brahmanas' injunctions which are given according to scriptures. So Brahmana submits to Krishna's will, Kshatriya submits to the injunctions given by Brahmanas, which is according to scriptures given by Krishna, and Vaishyas submit to the laws made by Kshatriyas, and Shudras, they remain satisfied with the salary given to them by Vaishyas. So this is the way the system exists. But the system gets disrupted because of some contamination, and then there is dissatisfaction. And then the society becomes chaotic. And that is what has happened. And this Parashuram incarnation came, which we will discuss in the 9th canto. Now, 21st verse. Please repeat after me. Tataha saptadashe jataha.
Tataha saptadashe jataha.
Satyavatyam parasharat.
Satyavatyam parasharat.
Chakre veda taro shakha.
Chakre veda taro shakha.
Drishtva pumsolpamedasa.
दृष्ट्वा पुंसोऽल्पमेधश.
Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parasara Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent.
So what Vyasadeva did, he divided the Vedas into 4 and further branches, because before that people were able to understand the essence of Vedas. But as Kali Yuga began, people's intelligence became less. Just like a mother, when she sees that her child is not able to eat chapati, so what she does, she will break the chapati into small pieces and then she will feed her baby, right? So chapati is like the Vedic conclusion, Vedic knowledge. People are not able to take the chapati, the Vedas. So Vyasadeva, like a very loving mother, breaks the Vedas, divides the Vedas into smaller pieces so that we understand. So what we will see now, this is going to be explained in which canto, where? Where do you think this is going to be explained? Right now, after this chapter, in the next chapter onwards, this whole development will be seen. So we don't have to wait till some later canto. This is going to be a very exciting section, which will come immediately after this chapter, where how Vyasadeva divided the Vedas, what happened, how he was in depression, and how his guru came and helped him, and how in Kali Yuga people don't understand. So for their benefit, Vedas have been divided. So all this is going to be explained in the next few chapters. So now we'll go to text number 22, right? 22. So text number 22, yeah. Naradevatvam apanna.
Naradevatvam apanna.
Surakarya chikirshaya.
Surakarya chikirshaya.
Samudra nigrahadini.
Samudra nigrahadini.
Chakre viryan atah param.
Chakre viryanyatah param.
In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Rama in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman power by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea.
One of the most popular incarnations in the Hindu tradition is Lord Ram. And in the 9th canto, briefly, just 2 chapters are dedicated to this pastime. And Lord Ram teaches us that the best of relationships in this world will fail. How it is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. So put your faith in the Lord first and then negotiate with other relationships and navigate through this world. We see Vali and his brother relationship got spoiled. Ravana and his brother relationship got spoiled. Kaikeyi and her son, mother and son relationship also got spoiled. So it is intense. And we will read that in the 9th canto. And now text number 23, we will chant. Ekonavimshe vimshati me.
Ekonavimshe vimshati me.
Vrishnishu prapya janmani.
Vrishnishu prapya janmani.
Rama Krishna iti bhuvo.
Rama Krishna iti bhuvo.
Bhagavan aharad bharam.
Bhagavan aharad bharam.
In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna in the family of Vishnu, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world.
So if you see, Krishna and Balaram are mentioned now, right? This is the Bhagavatam's our main heroes are Krishna and Balaram. And in all the verses you will see, which we began from text number 6, this is the only shloka where the incarnation is mentioned as Bhagavan. It's interesting observation. In none of the previous verses, Bhagavan is mentioned. Here, Krishna and Balaram are mentioned as Bhagavan. This is just an interesting point mentioned. And we will discuss more about Krishna and Balaram where? In the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Yes, 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now we will chant text 24 and 25 and we will read the translations and then we will explain both the verses together. So text 24 and then after the translation we'll go to text 25 immediately. Text 24. Tatah kalau sampravritte
ततः कलौ सम्प्रवृत्ते
sammohaya suradvisham
सम्मोहायासुरद्विषाम्
buddho namanjana sutta
बुद्धो नामाञ्जनः सुत
vikateshu bhavishyati.
कटेषु भविष्यति.
Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist.
Yes. Text 25. Because this is connected, in both these verses we see predictions made, which was made 5,000 years ago, and we saw that Buddha did come. He did come as son of Anjana. So whatever prediction was made 5,000 years ago actually happened. And now another prediction is made in 25. So that's why we are taking both these verses together. Ataso yuga sandhyayam
अथासौ युगसन्ध्यायाम्
tasya prayeshu rajasu
तस्यु प्रायेषु राजषु
janita vishnu yashasho
जनिता विष्णु यशसो
namna kalkir jagatpati.
नाम्ना कल्किर्जगत्पति.
Therefore, thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers.
So these two verses are very special because here predictions are made and we see that this has actually happened. Buddha did come as the son of his parents, which was predicted here in this verse. And now Kalki also. And Kalki's mercies is chopping everyone. Buddha, no violence, completely non-violent incarnation. Because now Buddha the incarnation is important because Buddha came and he rejected the Vedas. This is interesting. Buddha rejected the Vedas. And because at that time people were misusing Vedas and they were slaughtering animals and they were justifying their activities in the name of Vedas. They said Vedas say, therefore we are killing animals. But the best way to stop Vedic animal sacrifice was to reject the Vedas. That's what Buddha did. Because when people get addicted to killing animals, they will justify it in the name of their religion. Like recently, one man in Hyderabad, I think Oasi had some life threat. So this man in Hyderabad, he sacrificed 101 goats so that Oasi is safe. So this is people do, sacrificing animals. It's very natural. And they do that because when they have misunderstood the scriptures. And therefore Buddha came, he rejected the Vedas so that people stop killing animals. And today, if you see, Buddhism is the largest growing religion in the USA, in many, many parts of the world. It's interesting, Dalai Lama doesn't have a country. He's a refugee. But he has inspired so many people to do PhD in Buddhism. And and Buddhism actually spread after Emperor Ashoka, he championed it. After the Kalinga War, where there were thousands of soldiers who were killed, Ashoka was watching an interesting sight. He saw that there was a Buddhist monk who was quietly going and giving water to the soldiers who were not yet dead. And this monk was not speaking anything, and he was doing this job, service, selflessly, not knowing who is watching and who is not watching. He was just doing it on his own. So when Ashoka was watching him from far, he said, I caused the destruction of so many people, whereas this monk is quietly going and feeding water. So Ashoka realized that I also have power, and this monk also has power. But I used my power in killing so many people, right? But this monk is using his power, whatever he has, for helping people. So this caused a major change in his heart. He said, when we use the power we have for service, then it can create transformation. So Ashoka went through a transformation. And then he took up Buddhism and he was instrumental in spreading this religion all across Southeast Asia. So Ashoka was instrumental. So basically the point, the moral why I said this story is that, see, the genuine act of service by one insignificant monk, that had such a profound effect on an emperor who then went on to be the main champion of a religion. So you may think you're insignificant. We may think I'm an ordinary person. But if we are genuine in our practice of Krishna consciousness, we can have a great impact. That is the moral of this story of Ashoka. And now, actually, as opposed to this story, we have another story also in the scriptures of Kala Pahad. Kala Pahad, this happened, I think, a few hundred years ago in the eastern region of India. Kala Pahad was a Hindu who had actually married a Muslim woman. And when he was entering Jagannath temple, the Panda stopped him saying that his wife is Muslim, so he cannot enter and she cannot enter. So then he asked the Pandavas, how can I make her qualified or how can I make her a Hindu so that she can enter and take darshan of Jagannath? So at that time, some of the Pandavas caught hold of that lady and they threw her down and they kicked her and they abused her. So he was shocked. He said, if he lost faith at that moment, he said, if the worshippers of God are so bad, then I don't accept this God. So then he attacked Jagannath Puri temple and he is the one who burned the deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, that infamous story, when one Panda then jumped and removed the Nabi Brahma from Jagannath. So that entire pastime happened here. And basically, again, this is the same point. For almost 100 years, there was no Jagannath deity in the temple. It's a very, very important story in history. Now, this happened. Why? Again, remember that story I said about that one insignificant monk who helped and who inspired Ashoka? Similarly, we see our actions, they have an impact in the course of history. History gets impacted when we perform certain actions. And Buddha, his heart was filled with compassion. And he rejected the Vedas. The reason he rejected the Vedas is because the Brahmanas had become corrupt. And they were misquoting Vedas. Very important. Now you may say, Prabhuji, if Buddha is God, is Krishna only, and he rejected the Vedas, so I will also reject Vedas. We may say like that. Logic, this is the danger of logic. So we have to clarify that, we have to understand that when Buddha rejected Vedas, that rejection was circumstantial. It was to protect the innocent animals from being slaughtered. It was circumstantial rejection. It is not the Lord's constitutional nature to reject Vedas, but only circumstantial. See, constitutional nature of the Lord is revealed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, where Krishna says, Matta sarvam jnanam ponamcha Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyo. I am the essence of all the Vedas. I protect the Vedas. Vedas come from me. So Lord does not reject Vedas. Therefore, we need to understand things in the proper context. So Buddha rejected the Vedas, but then Shankaracharya came and he re-established the Vedas when he chased away Buddhism. He said, you go to Tibet, China, Sri Lanka, Burma, Bangladesh, but no, not here. And he chased away Buddhism, but he gave a Mayavad interpretation of the Vedas. And then he gave this famous Advaita doctrine where he said the living entity and the Lord is all one. And then Madhvacharya came, who a few centuries later established that God and living entity, the soul, are different. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he gave Achintya Bheda Abheda philosophy, where he harmonized both these apparently conflicting philosophies by saying that the living entity, the soul, is same as God and is also different from God. He's same as God in quality, but is different from God in quantity. So like that he gave. So what Buddha did, when Buddha came, Vedas are taking us in this direction. Buddha came and took the train of our Krishna consciousness in opposite direction. Shankaracharya turned the train back in the right course, and Madhvacharya took it forward, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it to the conclusion, the real station. So that is the whole program of the Lord. So Buddha is not against the Vedas. So Buddha, see, people were immature. So because they were immature, they had to be given an instruction to not follow Vedas. We have to understand this, very important. Otherwise, we'll misunderstand Buddha and his rejection of Vedas. So like for example, let's say there is a diabetic patient and he's eating 10 laddus every day. Now, this fellow has to be stopped. So the first thing doctor will tell him is, see, you have to stop eating any sweet, not allowed at all. Zero, nothing. So then he stops. Then after some time when he's all right, then the doctor says, okay, now you can eat half laddu. Then you can eat 1 laddu. But in the beginning only, the doctor had said, okay, you can eat 1 laddu. You are eating 10 laddus every day. That is bad. You can eat 1 laddu or maximum 2 laddus. So now if the doctor had begun with that, then this person would have become more lenient and you would have started cheating from that time only. If doctor had said 1, you would have started eating 3, 4 that time only. So the first thing the doctor has to do is to tell him to stop 0, no laddu, no sweets. Then when you're all right, you can little bit introduce, right? I'm just giving a simplistic example. So it is extreme. What I'm trying to say is, when a person is extremely diabetic, then we go to the other extreme of stopping his sweets completely. So, and then so that he can slowly improve. And once he improves, then he can start eating sweets. So, because what happens, if the doctor says in the beginning only you can eat little bit, no, eat in control, the doctor says, that's very abstract. So the person will go overboard. Because human beings are in general not sense controlling. We don't like to control our senses, right? We like to cheat. We don't like to be disciplined. So, and people are not generally mature. So at that time, the Brahmanas had got corrupted. They were cheating. They were killing in the name of Vedas. So the best thing would be to say, bogus, stop everything. Vedas only reject. So this is what happens. Then at least animal slaughter will stop. So like that, to educate the people who had become corrupted, this had to be done. So what Buddha has done is basically he played his part. He played his small role that was there as a part of the larger plan. And eventually the Vedas were revived. Because the Vedas have to be understood in the right spirit. Now, if he hadn't played his part, how would Lord Chaitanya play his ultimate part? So it was all part of a plan. It was all part of a beautiful strategy by the Lord to help the conditioned souls in Kali Yuga. See, if the car is going full speed in opposite direction, okay, let's say we are supposed to go here, but the car is going somewhere else. So the first thing to do is to stop the car, right? That's what Buddha did. When Buddha saw that people are going in opposite direction of what is mentioned in Vedas, Buddha stopped. So the car has to be stopped if it is going in opposite direction. Buddha stopped the car, and then Shankara turned it. Madhvacharya moved it forward, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it to its destination. So that's what happened, and that's why these two verses are also explained. Now we will chant text 26 and 27 also together. Means we'll chant 26, then we will read the translation, and then we'll go to the next verse. Okay? For text number 26, please repeat. Avatarai asankyeya.
Avatarai asankyeya.
Hare satvanidher dvija.
Hare satvanidher dvija.
Yata vidasinah kulyah.
Yatha vidasinah kulya.
Sarasahasyu sahasrasha.
Sarasahasyu sahasrasha.
O Brahmanas, the incarnation of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water.
Yes, now we'll go to text number 27, right? Rishayo manavo deva.
Rishayo manavo deva.
Manoputra mahojasah.
Manuputra mahojasha.
Kalah sarve harer eva.
Kalah sarve harereva.
Sa prajapataya smritaah.
Prajapataya smrita.
All the rishis, Manus, demigods, and descendants of Manu, who are especially powerful, and planetary portions or portions of the planetary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis.
So basically, now this section is coming to an end. The 28th verse will end the section. But before that, it is very clearly mentioned that many incarnations come from the Lord, like many rivulets come from a river. This is very important for us to understand because, when many small streams of water come from the ocean, that doesn't mean the ocean becomes empty. Similarly, many incarnations come from the Lord. That doesn't mean Lord becomes non-existent. Lord remains as he is, and many incarnations come. He is unlimited. The Ishopanishad says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. The Lord is complete. Complete units emanate from him, and although complete units emanate from him, he still remains complete. He doesn't reduce. If you take a paper and tear it, the original paper is no longer there. But this principle doesn't work with the Lord. Although Lord is divided into many, the Lord remains the same. So this is very important understanding. So now that it has been established that many incarnations come from him, we have mentioned so many names. Now comes the last verse of this section, where so many incarnations are mentioned. And this is a verse, 28th verse, which I want all of you to memorize when we come for the next class, because this is a shloka. This is called as the emperor verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Please remember, this is called what? Emperor verse. This is the most important verse. You have to memorize this if you are a student of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So in Sanskrit, this verse is called as, please remember this term, it is called as Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra means the emperor shloka. So what is this verse and why this is the emperor verse? We will chant, but before that, please understand, who is an emperor? When does a person become an emperor? We can wait for 1 minute. When does a person become an emperor? When he defeats all other small kings, right? There are many kings, but emperor is one. So this verse is emperor verse because there are many other verses which talk about many Bhagavans, many incarnations. So they are all very powerful verses. They are compared to the kings. So, and many verses may claim many incarnations. But this verse is the emperor verse because this defeats all other verses which make all other claims. Therefore, this is called as Paribhasha Sutra. So we'll now chant the 28th verse and then we will discuss this in detail. Ete chamsa kalapumsa
Echamsha kalapumsha
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Mridayanti Yuge Yuge.
Dayanti Yuge Yuge.
All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnated to protect the theist.
Correct. This. We'll chant this verse 2 more times and then we will explain this. Okay, so please repeat once again and 2 more times. Ete chamsha kalapumsa
Echamsha kalapumsha
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Mridayanti Yuge Yuge.
Dayanti Yuge Yuge.
So here if you see the word ete is mentioned. Ete means all these, but whatever has been explained before. Chamsha Kala Pumsa, they're all either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. But tu means, second line you see, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The word tu means But so all incarnations which have been mentioned so far are there. It's okay. They're all expansion or plenary expansions of Krishna too. But Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. He is the original Bhagavan. Once more, we will chant this verse. Yate chamsha kalapumsa
Yatechamsha kalapumsa
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Hridayanti Yuge Yuge.
Hridayanti Yuge Yuge.
So here Krishna is not explained as an expansion of Vishnu, but he is the source of Vishnu, and so of course he comes from Vishnu. Remember, we spoke about Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. So in this world, it appears as if Krishna is coming from Vishnu, but that Vishnu is coming from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, is coming from Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu is coming from Sankarshan, Sankarshan is coming from Narayan, Narayan is coming from the first quadruple expansion, and that quadruple expansion is coming from Balram, and Balramji is coming from Krishna. So ultimately, although externally it may appear Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu in this world, but it is Krishna who is the source of all the incarnations. Like, if you go to if Mukesh Ambani decides to go to one of his many offices, many companies he has, if he goes to one of his offices and he meets the general manager there, and they are talking, and then the general manager says, "Okay, sir, let us go out," and he takes him out. Now, there may be a watchman there. He may not have any idea who is Ambani. He may be just concerned that my boss, my general manager of this branch, this office, he is the boss and boss, he is everything. So he sees that his boss as some special guest who has come and is taking him around, and he is escorted him outside. So for his limited vision, it appears that Mukesh Ambani is smaller than the general manager. Mukesh Ambani is coming from the general manager, but actually the general manager has come many ranks lower than Mukesh Ambani. So similarly, it may appear to our limited vision that, okay, Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, but in the larger scheme of things, that Vishnu has come from the original Krishna. So Jiva Goswami, one of our main Vaishnava acharyas, has given us the Sandarbha, the commentaries, and one of the 6 commentaries I've written is called Krishna Sandarbha, where he establishes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there he explains this shloka as the Paribhasha Sutra, or the Emperor verse. Because an Emperor verse is that verse which comes only once in a book. Okay. So when this verse comes in once in a book, this verse establishes itself as the most important verse. Now, generally, in the beginning of the book, it comes. Now, what this verse shloka does, a Paribhasha Sutra or an Emperor verse, is that it gives us a key for understanding the entire work. You want to understand the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam. We want to understand all the 18,000 verses. We want to get a complete essence of understanding of the Bhagavatam. Then the key is provided by this one shloka, and that is why this is called as the Emperor verse. Like the whole literature of Bhagavatam is governed by this one shloka. Now, in Bhagavatam, many shlokas are there, many statements may be made, many commentaries may be written, millions of statements may be there in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. But all the other statements made in Bhagavatam, all the other shlokas mentioned in the Bhagavatam, all of them have to be aligned to this one shloka. That is why I'm telling you again and again that please memorize this. And it will be very good for you also. Because all the shlokas of the Bhagavatam are aligned with this one statement, because this is the most important statement of the work of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Like if some of you are working in an organization, in a company, so your company has a vision statement. What do they call? A statement of vision, or mission statement, statement of purpose. Every company has that, right? Every organization defines their vision statement. So a book also has a vision statement. That is called as Paribhasha Sutra. And Srimad-Bhagavatam's Paribhasha Sutra is this. The vision statement, or the main message of Srimad-Bhagavatam is this shloka. Now, why this shloka has been chosen as the emperor verse, the Paribhasha Sutra, because this shloka provides a clear, definitive idea about God, and it defeats all other verses. Like most, this is the most unambiguous, declarative, conclusive, and absolute statement which establishes the supremacy of Lord Krishna. Very emphatically, this is mentioning that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Those of you who are connected with ISKCON, you know that we always keep saying Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead, Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead. We keep speaking about this all the time. In case you're wondering why we are saying this, from where is this coming, this statement, Prabhupada always said that all of that is coming because of this one statement, this one shloka. This is the foundation of that, all our preaching. Therefore, I am saying this verse has to be memorized. All the comparisons made with other forms of Krishna, they're all mentioned. But Krishna's form is said to be the supreme. So, like, in army, there are many soldiers, but commander is one. The boss, the chief is one. The emperor is one. So now there are 12 characteristics mentioned. I'm briefly going to go through this. And these 12 characteristics, because of which this shloka, or this shloka which calls Krishna the Supreme Lord, this is called as the emperor verse. You may not be able to memorize it, that's okay. But you simply hear this, you will understand the importance of this shloka of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Such long commentaries have been written by our Vaishnava Acharyas only on this shloka. So, a Paribhasha Sutra, or an emperor verse, does 12 things. And this shloka has those 12 features, or this is aligning with those 12 qualities. And because of this shloka is most important. First very important quality this verse has is consistency. Consistency means very important. Please understand this. In any book, forget a book. When you are presenting a paper, I don't know if you are from some academic background. We used to present papers. So when we present papers, there is an abstract we write first, and then there's an introduction, and then the whole body of the presentation of the essay, the paper, thesis, and there is a conclusion. So what happens is, like the first verse of this chapter, which we are reading, third chapter, it talks about incarnations of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And the last verse of this section, which is the 28th verse, which again establishes Krishna as the Supreme Purusha. So if you see both the first and the last, it is like the beginning and the conclusion are establishing this point. If you see Srimad-Bhagavatam begins with, what is the verse we began with Bhagavatam, the first verse? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Remember that? That is the first verse we chanted. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you see the last verse of Bhagavatam, again establishes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what I'm saying is, so in the end we say Krishna is the source of all. The beginning also begins with that also. So if the opening is this and the conclusion is same, then it is said that that book is, or that paper is considered bona fide. You're beginning with the premise and you're ending with that premise. So that is very important. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, if you see, Bhagavad Gita begins with Krishna's first thing Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita is Ashochanan Vesochastvam. Arjuna, please don't lament. That is the first thing Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita. And when the Gita comes to an end, Arjuna says, Krishna, all my lamentation has gone. Nashta moha smritir libdva. So if you see the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita and the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's instruction is the same. So this consistency is there. So here also, if you see, Krishna is God, and ending of this section, which is the 28th verse, both the beginning and the ending is consistent. Therefore, this is the first quality of a Paribhasha Sutra, consistency. And the second is reconciliation. This is also important because, in the beginning, it was mentioned, if you see just now, a few verses back, we discussed how it is mentioned. Krishna is one of the incarnations. Remember, Krishna and Balaram is one of the incarnations. Now in the end, you are saying, oh, okay, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So this may appear a little confusing. Once you say Krishna is one of the incarnations, and then you say Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So this is, this you may say, Prabhuji, you said consistency, but this is not consistency. Yes, this may not appear to be consistent, but what is happening here is called as reconciliation. This verse is reconciling whatever was spoken earlier. Like for example, when we get special guests in temple, and I had this opportunity to serve some special guests, some sannyasis. So one sannyasi said, okay, after taking lunch, he said, I will take lunch at 1 o'clock, he's saying. I will take dinner at 8 o'clock. Please get me some Mahaprasad. He told me at 2 o'clock, he told me. At 8 o'clock in the night, you get me some Mahaprasad, some chapati, sabzi. I said, okay, Maharaj. And at 6 o'clock, he told me, no, I won't take dinner. You get me milk at 8 o'clock. Fine. So 8 o'clock when I go to him, what should I take to him? What he told me last, right? What he has instructed me in the second, that will be the main final instruction. So the last instruction he gives is what I have to follow. So in the beginning, earlier it was said, okay, Krishna is one of the incarnations. But in the end, if you see, the clarification given is, well, okay, we may have mentioned Krishna is one of the incarnations, but please understand, Krishna is actually the source of all incarnations. He is the Bhagavan. So the later statement gets more weightage than the earlier statement. So that's how this has to be understood. So the first quality of a Paribhasha Sutra, this verse is very special because this is consistent. This also reconciles all the other confusion. And third, very important is, it gives a distinction to Krishna, specially mentions Krishna. Now, see, you have to understand the distinction is here by the word tu. Remember the second line of the shloka? Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnas tu Bhagavan swayam. For this word tu, what does the word tu mean? Not in Hindi. In Hindi, the word tu means you. We are talking about Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, the word tu means
but.
No, all that I've said so far is okay, but this is the right thing. Like, when you put the word tu, it separates whatever was said earlier from what is going to come next. That's how it divides the sentence. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. But whatever I have said so far is okay, but this is what it actually is. So the word tu is used to explain that the subject matter that is going to follow now is different from the previous subject matter. Means Krishna, okay, we have mentioned many incarnations, all that, plenary portions, all that is mentioned. But now Krishna is distinguished from all the amsha and the kala and all the others. He is different, he is specially mentioned here. And that special mention is made by using the word tu. Like, I'll give an example. Sometimes it happens, sometimes I went to the kitchen, we cook a big feast for a festival. But then somebody says, Prabhuji, what prasadam you made today? That pulao rice was so special, that smoky flavor, sometimes we take that charcoal, koila, and we put it in that sabzi, in that huge pot cooking vegetables. And we put ghee also on that. So that, and then we close the pot with the lid. So the entire sabzi becomes smoky flavor, very tasty. And then the devotee says, Prabhuji, what sabzis you made, smoky flavor. That rasgulla was top class. And that, the salad had such nice cream you put. It was very tasty. And we are listening to him. And then he says, but Prabhuji, when he says, but, when that pause comes, that whatever he has said previously is all negated. Now comes the main point which he wants to say. Prabhuji, dal, that salt was little extra. So the main thing he wanted to say was that dal had more salt. So first he said everything and then he said, but dal had more salt. So I will remember that one last of what he said after but, right? So the point is that word tu is used to say that, okay, what follows now has to be taken more seriously. Like after praising your cooking, after saying all the praise, then he says but and gives you a feedback. That means that feedback has to be taken more seriously. Prabhu, you are so good. Prabhu, you are so nice. You are so, you sing so nice kirtan. You give such nice class, Prabhu. But you are very short-tempered. So that means I have to work on my short temper. So that means all the previous is gone. Prabhu, what a class you said, Prabhuji, what a class you gave. But that example is not correct. That means I have to work on that example. Right? So that's so when the word two is used, it is to explain that, okay, all the incarnations, planetary portions is okay, but Krishna has to be given more weightage than Amsha, than Kala. He is Bhagavan. This is also called in logic science as Purva Mimamsha logic, which says that if two statements are made, then the later statement has to be given more importance. So I give the example of the sannyasi who said, get me dinner, and then he said, give me milk. So I brought him milk because it was logical. So therefore now it is established that this Paribhasha Sutra has consistency, it has reconciliation, and it has distinction. And there are more 9 qualities. We will discuss that in our next class. But see, basically the whole discussion is how this one verse we can discuss so much. So you can imagine Bhaktivedanta Thakur, when he gave Bhagavatam class on the first shloka of Bhagavatam, he spoke for 3 months, morning 3 hours, evening 3 hours. I'll tell you, in our temple, we have Shamananda Prabhu, one of our temple presidents. He is giving Bhagavad Gita class every Monday. He started in 2004, October. 2004 October, he started Bhagavad Gita class, taking every shloka in one class, explaining each word from different angles. So 2004 October he started. Now this is 2022, right? February. How many years? 18. Almost 18 years, right? And we have reached only 7 chapters. And there are 18 chapters in the Gita. There are 700 verses. And he is consistent. Every Monday he is taking class. So if 17 years has taken 7 chapters, another 34 years is there for him to complete Bhagavad Gita. That means total 50 years for one reading of Gita. That means so much can be discussed. So I request you to come memorizing this verse and also meditating on this verse about how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we will continue our discussions in our next class. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions regarding today's class?
Prabhuji, if I may ask, Prabhuji, this Shri Sampradaya also follows Srimad-Bhagavatam, and yet they are considering Vishnu to be the supreme. And Prabhuji, if you can just explain, not in detail, but at least few things.
Yeah, see, Krishna and Vishnu are same at the end of the day. It is like, a police commissioner, he is in office and everybody is saluting him. And then he goes home, his wife doesn't salute him. His grandson doesn't salute the police commissioner. They jump on him. The grandson jumps on the police commissioner. They start playing, right? So police commissioner has 2 roles. In office, he has a different role. At home, he has a different role. He is the same person, right? So Vishnu is Krishna in office. And Krishna is Vishnu at home. So they're same. But the rasa is different, Shri Vaishnavas, they like to serve the Lord with awe and reverence. The Lord likes to reciprocate, everybody cannot have. Police constable, when he sees his commissioner next day in the police headquarters, he doesn't jump on him like his grandson. And that rasa is different. So everybody has a different rasa with the Lord. So Shri Vaishnavas, they worship the Lord with great awe, great reverence. But in Vrindavan, they have a different rasa. They make fun of Krishna. When Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord, I killed all the demons, they make fun of Krishna. They say, Kya kuch bhi fekhta hai? How can you be the God? So he says, I have proof. When I was a few days old, I killed Putana. Don't you know I lifted Govardhan Parvat? Don't you know I entered Aghasur and I killed Aghasur? So the boys start laughing. They say, what you are saying? See, Putana got killed not because of you. Putana got killed because Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, they're always chanting Lord Vishnu's names. They're praying to the Lord. So because of their prayers, Putana got killed. And Agasur got killed because we entered his mouth first and we killed him. You entered in the end and you took all credit. And Govardhan mountain, Govardhan, you did not lift the Govardhan. We have been serving Govardhan so nicely. Govardhan got so ecstatic. Govardhan just leapt in the air out of joy. And you put your pinky finger up to take all the credit as if you are lifting it. So Krishna could not convince his friends in Vrindavan because their mood is love, friendship. So he's same Vishnu. But the police commissioner, when he goes home, he will not sit with his grandchildren and talk about, how he has to be respected and how he will talk to them in their language, his grandchildren's language, right? He will not talk about his office prowess. He will talk about them, their play, their mood. He will reciprocate with them like that. So Sri Vaishnavas worship the Lord in that awe and reverence mood, which is good. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Awe and reverence is the difference. The difference here it is here the relationship is love, and here the other place it is awe and reverence.
Yes, but one more clarification. Srila Prabhupada taught us to worship Radha and Krishna in the mood of awe and reverence.
Okay.
We don't, in the morning when we open the curtain every day at 7:45, we don't say, the pujari doesn't say, aaj jada maja aa raha hai, thoda 2 ghanta aur dressing karte. No spontaneous. There is rules, systematic. 5 o'clock, darshan has to open. Prabhupada said punctuality, cleanliness, high class, everything has to be disciplined. And when the curtain closes, we say, Radha Gopinath ki jai. We don't say Radha Rani, bye bye, Gopinath. We don't have like spontaneous like Vrindavan residents. We follow proper rules and regulations so that one day we can develop the love for Krishna like the Brajvasis have. That is what we are doing is called sadhana bhakti. We are worshipping Radha and Krishna, but in the mood of worshipping Vishnu. That is very safe for us. Right?
But we cannot imitate what Vrindavan Vasis does.
That is why Prabhupada gave us worshipping Radha Krishna in the mood of worshipping Vishnu. Otherwise, what happened in one temple, one pujari was dressing small deity of Gopinath, one Krishna deity, small deity was bathing. Small deity, because that is like the Utsav Murti of the main. So, because of his carelessness, the deity slipped from his hand and fell on the table where he was serving. Now, he should understand his mistake, and he should rectify it. Instead of that, he was thinking he's in the mood of Vrindavan. And he said, "Oh, Krishna, you're running away from me, you naughty boy." So that is a very good excuse he's giving to cover up for his neglect. So many times, we are not on the level of the Brajvasis, but we may imitate them and we may justify our negligence. So Prabhupada was very smart. Prabhupada knew we are Sadhurams. So he corrected us. He said, no, you worship like Vishnu only. Be disciplined, be punctual, be clean, follow all the rules and regulations. So that's why we follow all the rules and regulations. See, ultimately it is love. Even in awe and reverence, there is love. When you worship with awe and reverence, there is love only. But it is expressed like that. Like, when I see my spiritual master, when he comes, I stay far from him. Like, I have little fear. That fear is also love. And I know another god brother of mine, he says, Maharaj, how are you? Hare Krishna. Come and sit. He talks to him like a friend. I look at him and say, I can never imitate that. But that doesn't mean he loves more, I love less. No, we all love the Lord. We all love our Guru, but we express it differently. Some people are shy, some people are expressive, like that, So it's also love. Hare Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
We'll take one question, last question by Trisha Mataji, and then we will end. Yes.
It is related to the same question what Rajan sir has asked. If Krishna and Vishnu are same, then why we say the qualities in Krishna are more and compared to Vishnu?
They're same, but there's 4 very special qualities of Krishna, which is only Krishna. Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, and Prema Madhuri. See, only Krishna plays flute. Vishnu doesn't play flute. Krishna has pastime with his friend. In Vaikuntha, Vishnu is worshipped with awe and reverence. Jaya and Vijay they don't jump on Vishnu's back. That Prema Madhuri, that the love of Krishna with his gopi friends and gopas is unique to Krishna. That's what makes it rasa. See, Lord Ram or Vishnu, you will not see Lord Ram stealing butter. Have you heard any pastime? Lord Ram in Ayodhya is lying as a young boy, stealing butter. It just doesn't suit Ram's character. He's Satyavan. And have you seen Krishna in Vrindavan always speaking truth? Not stealing, always obedient boy. You will get bored. I mean, that just doesn't fit because Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. Is embodiment of all rasa, all mellows. So we can't exchange places. Krishna is Krishna, Vishnu is Vishnu, Ram is Ram. Ram cannot do what Krishna is doing. So in terms of rasa, in terms of mellow or in terms of sweetness, it's only in terms of sweetness that Krishna is said to be higher. It is not technically or philosophically or in terms of when we say Krishna's qualities are more, that doesn't mean Krishna is greater than Vishnu, Vishnu is inferior. No, we are talking in terms of rasa, in terms of sweet, in terms of if you like ask a lady who loves her boyfriend or her paramour or her husband, she will not say that I love my husband when he goes to work in the office and he is the police commissioner. She will say, no, I love him when he's at home, when he's with me, when he talks to me, when he's vulnerable with me. Right? So that's what charms the heart of a lover, beloved. So when we say that is a higher version, we are speaking in terms of the sweetness and the relationship. We're not talking in terms of philosophy. So philosophically we understand it, but there is an element of rasa there. So Krishna and Vishnu have same qualities. Only 4 qualities make Krishna very special, which is flute. Vishnu doesn't carry flute. And beauty. Krishna's beauty is exquisite. Brahmaji in his prayers in the 10th canto explains all the different prayers are there. Vishnu has all kirita, kundala, crown, jewelry. What Krishna has? Krishna has a garland of not even jewels, forest flowers and leaves, which is found. Krishna's body is smeared with the dust of Vrindavan. Krishna has a peacock feather, which is freely available. His beauty is made up of all simple things, which is found in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. It is not Kritinam, Kundalinam, Keyura, Valayanvitam. Vishnu's beauty is described with crowns, jewels, ornaments, its grandeur. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, Abhivyakta, Chaturbhujam. But Krishna is said, Hasam, Hare Ravanata, Kilaloka Tibra. He's smiling. He's standing in his 3/4 bending form. All these things are described to be Krishna's beauty. So Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, then there is Leela Madhuri and Prema Madhuri and Bhakta Madhuri. So the Bhakta Madhuri means Krishna's unique relationship and exchange with his devotees. No other incarnation has that. Krishna wrestling with his boyfriends and Krishna, doing all the mischief together with his boyfriends. All that is very unique to Krishna. And Prema Madhuri is relationship of love with the gopis, the separation and the intense emotion that are experienced. The crying for Krishna, which is only in Krishna Lila. So these 4 qualities make Krishna very special. Otherwise, there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. And we are saying this ultimately because we are in Krishna's camp. So it's like party loyalty. That doesn't mean Vishnu is inferior. No way. It's just that we love Krishna and we love Krishna the way he is. So we are justifying it by saying Krishna is the best. But if you love Vishnu, worship Vishnu. Great. In fact, in our temple, we have Lakshmi Narayan temple, right? Mahatma Gandhi used to come there when he was staying at Mani Bhavan. He used to come for his walk. He used to come there, take darshan. He used to give sukudi to our Gurukul boys. It's there in our diary register. 1930s, I think, he used to come. So we used to worship Lakshmi Narayan. So, okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
We wished it should not stop, but anyway.
Now that we've entered the 3rd chapter and now we've entered the Emperor verse, now we are going to dive deep into Krishna. Krishna's beauty. We'll discuss in detail about Krishna's smile. Why Krishna smiles? That can be, there are so many aspects of Krishna which we have not discussed. So there are so many things to hear about Krishna. How many types of flutes Krishna has? We can have 1 hour class only on Krishna's flute. Can you imagine?
Yes, Prabhuji, we would like to hear all this.
So slowly all these things will come up. And now that we have touched the Emperor verse, now the new world will open up in Srimad-Bhagavatam. And we will discover why Srimad-Bhagavatam is so special. Okay?
And
So
next week, Prabhuji, 9 qualities, other 9 qualities.
But there is a small thing. I'm traveling next 2 weeks. So next week I may not be able to take a class, and even the week after that I may not be able to take, but I'm not sure. But at least next week, like I'll be able to confirm on morning, Tuesday morning. But most likely the next 2 weeks I may not be available. Thank you very much for your kindness and for giving me an opportunity to speak on Srimad-Bhagavatam. Grantara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.